He was the man who lied his way into Hitler's trust. The man who built an army that never existed. The man who saved D-Day with nothing but his imagination. And then, he vanished. His name was Juan Pujol García. His codename was Garbo. To Berlin, he was their most loyal spy. To London, he was the greatest double agent the world had ever seen. But to himself, he was a ghost. Caught between two worlds. Haunted by the weight of his own deception. So tell me, what happens when the most dangerous liar in history suddenly disappears? London, 1943. The city groaned under the weight of war. The nights were cloaked in blackout curtains, the air trembling with the menace of Luftwaffe bombers. Whole blocks reduced to rubble, their bricks glowing red with fire. The stench of smoke clung to every street, every coat, every breath. In the pubs, people whispered rumors. On the trains, they avoided each other's eyes. No one knew who could be trusted. Because beneath the bombs, another war was being fought. A war of shadows, a war of double agents, traitors, whisperers in the dark, and hidden in that war was a man no one noticed. Not tall, not striking, not the kind of man who drew stares, just another face in the fog of London. But Juan Pujol García carried a secret so dangerous it could decide the fate of nations. He was working for the Germans and for the British at the same time. To the Reich, he was their prize. They believed he had built a vast network of spies across Britain, agents in the army, in factories, in the ports. They paid him richly, showered him with medals. Berlin trusted him more than almost anyone alive. But here's the truth, that network never existed. Not one of those agents was real. Garbo invented them all. Dozens of names, entire backstories, lives and deaths, carefully recorded and sent to Berlin in long, coded reports, and the Germans swallowed every word. It was a lie so big, so perfect, it could only have been told in wartime. At first, Garbo did it alone, bluffing his way into the Reich's confidence with scraps of gossip and a genius for invention. But soon, British intelligence noticed him, and instead of exposing him, they recruited him. They gave him a codename Garbo, after the actress Greta Garbo, for his ability to perform. And they turned his lies into a weapon. Now he wasn't just fooling the Germans. He was shaping the entire course of the war. His reports weren't just letters, they were weapons. Written in invisible ink, smuggled through dead drops, whispered across radio waves. He wrote of troop movements that never happened, of ships that never sailed, of meetings that never took place. He even killed off some of his imaginary agents when Berlin grew suspicious, sending emotional reports about their bravery in the field. And still, the Germans believed him. They trusted him so deeply that they ignored real intelligence that contradicted his lies. But every lie carried a risk. Every message was a step closer to disaster. If either side suspected the truth, Garbo would be executed. To the Germans, he would be a traitor. To the British, a liability. Every day, he walked the knife's edge of betrayal. And then came the greatest gamble of all. The Allies were preparing for the most important operation of the war, the invasion of Europe. D-Day. If Germany discovered the real landing point, Normandy, the beaches would run red with Allied blood. Failure could cost the war. Victory could save the world. Garbo's mission: convince Hitler that Normandy was a trick, that the real invasion would come at Calais. Piece by piece, he wove the lie. He told Berlin of a massive army in southeast England, commanded by General George Patton. He described divisions, battalions, camps, every detail fabricated. British intelligence even staged fake tanks, fake radio traffic, fake camps, all to back his story. and Garbo sent it all to Berlin, packaged with just enough truth to make it irresistible. The Germans bought it, completely. On June 6, 1944, when Allied soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy, the Reich held back its reinforcements. Hitler was convinced Normandy was a diversion, still waiting for Patton's Phantom Army to strike Calais. For weeks, he waited. Reinforcements that could have slaughtered the Allies never came. The deception worked. Normandy held. The Allies broke through. The war turned dot and all because one man told the right lie at the right time. For his work, the Germans awarded Garbo the Iron Cross, one of their highest honors. The British gave him the Order of the British Empire. Medals from both sides of the war hanging on the chest of a man who belonged to neither. But even in victory, Garbo was a prisoner. He had lived so long inside lies that truth was no longer a place he could return to. His wife, Araceli, had grown desperate. She begged him to stop. She feared the Gestapo, feared the endless nights of secrecy, feared the husband who no longer seemed like her own. And Garbo, he was exhausted. The war had been won, but the cost of his deception was crushing him. And then, one day, he was gone. The official story was that Juan Pujol García died in Africa in 1949. Malaria, they said, a quiet end to a man who had saved the world with lies. His grave was marked. His story closed, but it wasn't true. Decades later, fragments surfaced, a rumor here, a whisper there. And finally, the truth emerged. Garbo hadn't died in Africa. He had faked his own death. One last deception, one final vanishing act. He had fled to Venezuela, living under another name, hidden from the world. Not as a hero, not as a traitor, just as a man who wanted silence. Even his own family believed he was dead. For nearly 40 years, the world mourned a man who was still alive. Why did he do it? Fear of Nazi revenge? Fear of British betrayal? Or was it something darker, an addiction to lies so deep that he could not live without one final, perfect deception? The truth was never fully known. He reappeared briefly in the 1980s, older, worn, still quiet. But even then, he carried an air of shadows. A man who had built a kingdom of lies, and then disappeared into them. Juan Pujol García, codename Garbo, the man who tricked Hitler, the man who saved D-Day, the man who vanished into the silence of his own secrets, because in war, the dead are remembered, but the vanished they haunt us. If you want more hidden stories like this, stay with us, because history still hides many secrets waiting to be revealed. Subscribe and never miss the next untold story.